are giving that. We started with films, and then we talked about health, and now let us talk about sports. Two of the names, when we talk about Philippine sports, two of the big names that people always talk about, will not forget, Manny Pacquiao and Nonito Donaire. Let us first talk about Manny Pacquiao. Steve Kim is joining us on the show from MaxBoxing.com. Hello and welcome to Kababayan today.
I am glad to be back, Janelle.
Yes, and I always like having you here because then you put things in perspective when it comes to sports. Not too long ago, we talked about Manny Pacquiao possibly fighting again in November. First, the word possibly. Can we eliminate that now? Is that a sure thing?
According to Bob Arum, about 90 minutes ago, I was able to speak to him. November 23rd, the weekend before Thanksgiving, looks like it'll be at the Venetian in Macau.
Macau, yes.
And
do we have an opponent yet? Because
no.
the last I heard is that they still haven't tracked down Rios, or Rios hasn't signed anything. What is Rios doing?
About 3 weeks ago, it looked like Mike Alvarado, who beat Brandon Rios in a very good fight about 4 or 5 weeks ago, was the front runner. Right now, if I had to put money down, I think it's going to be Brandon Rios. But I think this is an interesting part of this whole promotion. This comes down to bookkeeping. Whoever takes the best financial package for Manny Pacquiao is going to get this deal, because this is about the profit margin.
I remember after Manny Pacquiao lost via knockout to Marquez in Las Vegas, I spoke to Robert Garcia, who trains Rios, and he was so sad that Manny lost because they said they wanted their boy to fight Manny next. So it looks like it might happen after all, despite the defeat.
Yeah, you know, Brandon Rios, even though he lost the rematch to Mike Alvarado, there's a couple of things in favor. Number one, he's still very well known. And number two, he has a style that is very favorable to Manny. I think right now with Manny, you don't want to face counterpunchers. You don't want to face tall guys. Brandon Rios is really a junior welterweight. The speed is not really evident with Brandon. He's a very methodical fighter, very heavy-handed, but it's a simple style. Now, it's a physical style, but it's not one that's going to really make Manny Pacquiao think. In other words, it's the opposite end of the spectrum with Marquez, which flummoxed him for over 3.5, 4 fights. So I think Brandon Rios right now brings a certain type of, I don't want to say safety, but comfort in terms of style and the fact he is with Bob Arum, so it's a very makeable promotion.
So you're saying also that Brandon Rios has the style to make Manny shine, which he needs after that knockout. Do you think that he needs to fight still?
I think the way he spends money, yes. I mean, there's an old saying from Patrick Ewing in the NBA lockout. He had a famous quote saying, "We make a lot of money, we spend a lot of money."
Yes.
I think the expenditures of Manny Pacquiao make it so that he's going to fight a long time. Even though we may not say from his own health and safety perspective that Manny Pacquiao should fight, especially with that gruesome knockout he suffered, you know, boxing is very strange, and it's a very brutal sport, but it's a more unforgiving business. Most fighters fight on well beyond when they should. Shane Mosley's still fighting. James Toney recently lost. Oscar De La Hoya probably fought 1 or 2 fights too many.
Yeah.
I think Manny Pacquiao, given his lifestyle and his expenditures, I think his career is far from over.
I think he's going to want to concentrate in politics, though. There's money in that, too, but also more spending. But let us talk about Manny after you mentioned that knockout. How is that, you think, going to affect the style of Manny?
I think that's the big question.
Yes, right?
I think anyone that really speaks for Manny about where his state is mentally and psychologically is guessing. I think that's a lot of speculation. And I think, to me, that is the intrigue. When you go through a harrowing experience like this, where Manny Pacquiao was literally knocked out for 2-3 minutes, we don't know how a fighter who's hell-bent for leather, has a very aggressive, come-forward style, and is always very proactive, and he's not a counterpuncher, and he's not going to guy that's going to be content.
He's not going to wait. He's not going to wait for his opponent to attack. But he will get in there.
What was his greatest strength against Marquez ended up being his greatest downfall.
Yes.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. So now, we don't know the first time. Everything can go well during training. He could look good in sparring with headgear and bigger gloves. But when you're essentially naked out there with live bullets and 8-ounce gloves with a lot of angry men coming at you, the first time Manny Pacquiao gets hit November 23rd, I think we're going to see just where he stands psychologically.
Everyone's going to be looking at that, too. But also at the same time, the Macau factor, the fighting at the Venetian, fighting in Asia, will that figure as well?
I think
it's a different venue for him.
It is a different venue, and I think it goes a long ways into making this deal. Number one, Manny has made it very clear through Mike Kahn that they're not going to pay a 30-40% tax bill in the United States. So they're not going to fight in Las Vegas. Okay, so that much is clear. Now, they're going to fight in the Venetian for one reason. I think because they feel that the Asian whales that are gambling can support this type of promotion. Manny Pacquiao is used to making 20 to 30 million. That's one of the reasons why the Marquez fight is not going to happen for now, the 5th chapter, because Marquez believes he deserves purse parity. So the economics don't work out. What they're going to lose, though, if you have a fight in Asia, is that most of the media, me included, we simply can't afford to spend a week out in Macau. And you've been in the media rooms at the MGM Grand. There's a certain machinery that works. We go there on Wednesday or Thursday. We churn out stories.
Some people stay from Monday all the way, just stories after stories, and that's promotion for you. And now I was thinking about that, too. In Macau, I don't know how many of us can actually travel there. And you said stay there for a week.
Bob Arum has been very honest about it.
And where will he be training?
Freddie has said that if he fights in Macau, that he will not see him in L.A., that he will actually go out to the Philippines and they will train out there in Asia. Yes, most likely. And so Bob is realistic. Bob knows that while Manny can save 30 to 40% in terms of taxes he will not have to pay, that will only even out because there will be a significant loss of pay-per-view revenues because of the loss of media attention if they fight in Asia, which I think they are locked into now.
Oh, well, but there's going to be lots of developments for sure. We're still waiting for an opponent. I wanted to talk about Nonito Donaire, but we're out of time. That means you have to come back.
Okay.
Thank you. For now, where can we catch your articles and your stories?
MaxBoxing.com, I'm there, and you can also catch me on Twitter at SteveMaxBoxing.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I follow you. I get my sports news from Steve as well, not just boxing, other sports as well. When we return, we are going to introduce you to a Kababayan performer. Don't go away.